We praise mental strength constantly. Push through, stay sharp, don't break. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if the very thing we call strength is quietly disconnecting us from ourselves, our families, and our lives? Welcome to On Air Healthy Waves. I'm Yusuf, and our new live podcast space where conversations are real, present, and unfolding in the moment. This show is about mental health, mental strength, and what actually helps us sustain. Our guest tonight is Alain Luxembourg. He works with leaders, founders, and high achievers to rethink success, identity, and family integration so they can thrive personally and professionally. In this live conversation, we are exploring the difference between mental strength, mental health, and why confusing the two often leads to silent burnouts, addiction, or emotional absence. With that, I welcome Alain Luxembourg to the show.
Thank you so much, Yusuf, for having me.
Perfect, sir. Let's get into it.
Okay. So, Alain Luxembourg, I'm from the Netherlands, as we discussed earlier. I'm 37 years old. I have two children and a wife, and I live now in the Netherlands. When I was younger, I grew up in the Netherlands, but after a very high moment in my life, a dark moment came, and I moved to London where I reshaped and rebuilt my identity, Yusuf. So I don't know if you want to talk more a little bit about that, or do you have any specific questions for me?
Yeah. So I'm curious when people hear mental strength, people have lot of definitions for mental strength. But what do you think they usually picture, and what is your definition of mental strength?
That's a great question, Yusuf. So strength, when you think about the word of strength, right, you think about big muscled guys lifting big machines or buildings, even, or, even the Avengers if you want to. But I think strength is what we are doing now, Yusuf, is talking about people have problems and they can be massive problems, but small problems, but they can feel equally impactful. So I think mental strength is admitting and talking to others that you have something that is bothering you and trying to find a way how to navigate through that because there's enough suffering in this world.
Yes. The gap between what strength looks like on the outside and what's happening internally is where a lot of suffering hides.
Absolutely. You're
Mm.
100%, 100% correct there.
Many leaders and high performers believe that pushing through pain is a proof of strength. From your experience, why does that belief become dangerous over time?
So if you look at strength and your body can only handle a certain amount when you bench press. You can only handle a certain amount. What happens if you put too much weight and you try to push through and you're alone? It comes down and you can't lift it up, right? So you're really stuck and trying. The same is in life. If you're trying to push, which is great, but if you put too much, you're stuck in this moment. And the only way you can get unstuck, Yusuf, is what we just talked about. Is talking about it and asking help from other people to lift you up and get you back on that bar. Admitting that, you cannot bench press a certain amount, that's where the issue comes in the human brain. So I always say that, I have had more than 10 coaches. I'm now with a new coach again. I will keep going and trying because we talked earlier about football players from the Netherlands. They have coaches. They want to become better. Does it mean that they cannot play football? No, they
Mm.
can. They know how to play football. They know how to take the football. They know how to score. They know how to defend. But why do they have coaches then? Because they want to improve. They want to get 1% better every day. So I think the same is for us, but we forget that we need other people to improve ourselves on a daily basis.
Mm, that's true. You have spoken openly about loss, pressure, and identity shaping, and how you approach success. How do early experience wire us to confuse survival with strength?
That's a very beautiful question close to my heart. And I'm going to tell you with a story, one of my favorite stories.
Mm,
In America, there was two brothers. They were twins, and they lost their father due to alcoholism, and he was in prison. So they went to interview them 20 years after. So they visited one of the brothers in prison who had an alcohol addiction and said, "Tell us what happened in your life." And he said, "What else could I be? Because my father was this."
mm,
Then they went to the other brother who was a multimillionaire and they asked him the same question: "How come that you are this?" And he said, "How else can I be this? Because of what my father was."
yeah. Oh, what an answer that is.
It's just looking at life through different lenses, right? And the one looks at life as I have an excuse, so I don't need to become good. And the other looks
Mm,
like, hey, I have an opportunity. I'm alive. I can do stuff.
mhm. Yes, that's true. How does this kind of confusion show up in our day to day life, at work, at home, at relationships? And what are the signs that someone might be mentally strong on paper but mentally unwell in reality?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So if we break it down, is how to spot the signals.
Mm,
Um, I believe in the principle of a few layers deep. And that means that when I speak to somebody, I said, "Hello, how are you today?" The other person says, "I'm great, thank you. How can I help you?" But
mm,
that's so platonic. Have you ever spoken to somebody and said, "Hey, how are you today?" And you say, "Great, thank you." And he says, "Great? How come you're great? What made it great today?" That's strange, right? So if we all are a little bit more present and ask questions, then we can get deeper into people how they're feeling. There's a reason we have two ears and one mouth. But we like
mm,
to talk more, but we should listen better and ask more questions. Then people will feel understand.
yes. When someone is, there's a balance between their mental strength, how does that show up in their relationships?
Yeah, that's great because we all have that little devil inside our head that the grass is
Mm,
green on the other side.
yeah.
I like to say the grass is the greenest where you give it water. So what do I mean with that is if you have picture you are wanting to be with a certain person, whether it's a boy, a girl, whoever it is. You finally dare to ask this person out. They like you too. You get into relationships. But 5 years later, you are not that excited anymore as you were in the beginning with the butterflies.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that? We need to say every day, I am thankful for this person. I want my butterflies back because if you don't, that little devil says, hey, my friend there, his wife is better. Or that celebrity there, he or she is much more beautiful. But that is just that little devil saying to you that. But if you say, no, actually, what I have at home is awesome. They love the way I am, the way I look, even when I wake up, which is not the best, right? But we should not forget that. And that's just being back into reality, being thankful for what you have and getting that devil inside. Ooh, that person looked at me. Maybe she likes me or he likes me. Steer away from that, saying, no, that's a no go.
I like how you rephrase the saying that grass is greener when you water it. And that is actually true. Until unless you put efforts, let's just say in your work, in your relationship, in yourself, nothing will come out. Even if you go to their lawn, which you think is greener, eventually it'll fade out because you think the other lawn is green.
Yeah, and in the past it wasn't allowed to have multiple marriages, right?
Mhm.
You knew you just had to build on it, and people change, but work together. Hey,
Yeah.
I used to love this, but I now like that. What do you think? Let's work on it together. Make our dreams together. And
Mhm.
it's not easy just to split up and go to the next and split up and go to the next. No, we need to work on it.
Yes. For someone listening and they are living right now and recognize themselves in this whole conversation, what's one shift that moves them from performance based strength to actual real resilience?
Yeah. And so, Yusuf, the issue we have now in the society is we have so many platforms where we see happiness, achievers, people with six packs, making millions in 1 or 2 months. So that becomes our standard, what we achieve. And then they become overwhelmed. Why am I not good enough? Why am I not doing that? So, what I think we should be doing, and I call this to my children the cucumber principle. So, if you have a cucumber, you cannot eat it in one go.
Mm,
What you have to do is maybe you shave it and then chop it in small bits and eat it slowly.
mm,
But we put with our goals the biggest goal ever and want to eat it in one go.
yeah.
But take it a bit easy and say, look, I would love to be a millionaire, but I'm now working in hospitality or in healthcare or I clean houses. It doesn't matter. You cannot say I want to be in a month or in a year a millionaire
Yeah.
because that's just not possible. So let's break it down. Say, I want to be 10 times more valuable in 1 year. So your value in the marketplace needs to rise. How are you going to do that? If you're a cleaner, go to celebrities' houses. Say, look, I'm the best cleaner there ever is. I charge a lot, but I will clean your house the best ever. You're still doing what you should be doing, but your value in the marketplace is higher because you go to a rich person's house, right? So it's all these little steps that you put your goal, but break it back downwards that you don't go crazy. I cannot achieve that goal because that's the problem. Anybody can achieve anything. If we can put
Mm,
stuff on Mars, and you cannot tell me that anything is not possible. But it's just breaking them down in small bits and don't be afraid to pivot. So if you say, hey, I want to clean a celebrity's house, and they all say no, then just look for maybe somebody who is very wealthy and then slowly move up. If you're noticed that this is not what you want to do, maybe
mm,
go to an office building and clean an office building. If that's not what you want to do, maybe all of a sudden you fall in love with doing people's hair. Change your goal. That's fine. But just make sure you keep changing the goalposts to achieve the win.
yeah. When pressure rises again, old habits return. How can leaders stay connected to mental health without abandoning their ambition?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, with the best leaders we have in the world, I cannot mention any government or president that said, in my election period, I set these goals and I achieved them all.
Yeah.
Nobody. So, but we as individuals, we set a goal. January is here now. I want to lose weight. I want to get a six pack. I want to look healthy. Why? Why do you want that? And again, if you want to lose weight, is it 1 kilo? Is it 20 kilos? Is it in a week time, in a month time, in a year time? Break it down in small and little steps again. Don't
Mm,
go crazy.
yeah. That's true. I want to offer this question to everyone listening live. If your success disappeared tomorrow, who would you still know yourself to be? And Alan, for those who want to follow your work or continue this conversation beyond tonight, where can they find you?
The easiest way is to look me up on LinkedIn, send me a connection. refer to this podcast we just had, and then I will accept, and we can start a conversation from there.
Perfect. And to all our listeners, the link to Alan's LinkedIn profile is in the description and in the show notes. So just go and check it out. Alan, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, if you feel you're getting overwhelmed, think about the principle of the sun, right? Is if you want every day the sun to be there, it's too hot. You get dry. You need a bit of cloud or a bit of rain, but that is not very comfortable. Maybe you did your hair nice or you're in a rush to go to work. It's not nice, but we need it to feed ourselves and the planet. So if you're struggling and you're in a dark place at the moment, don't think that you're buried, but that you have been planted.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being part of first live wave on Air Healthy Waves.
Of course, Yusuf. My pleasure. And thank you for having me again.
And to our listeners, if tonight stirred something, don't rush past it. Sit with it. Talk about it. Presence is where real strength begins. Mental strength without awareness creates endurance. Mental health creates resilience, connection, and a life that actually feels lived. We'll be back soon with more conversations that matter. Until next time, stay sharp, stay healthy, and stay blessed.